FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
We started to also build three-dimensional models in the studio, which is normally how we work. Although more and more now we work virtually. I work with my assistants who are in New York, and we pretend like we're in the rooms next to each other, and we just exchange information back and forth. But we also build a lot of three-dimensional models. And so this was, for instance, a direction that we started heading in, using the silhouette, the cast shadow of things that you don't see on stage on the sails as a way of trying to give the audience the impression that they're on the ship. And you can start to see some of the images that you've seen in the virtual ship start to appear in this, the silhouettes of masts. And when I started to show this to Lenny, he really loved the graphic representation of the ship, that we weren't being completely realistic with it, but that it was abstract. And I think when you're doing something as epic as this, that becomes a great departure. And this then led us to, what that led us to is a place where we felt like we still don't know what we're doing. And if you look at this, it looks like there's a big white box in the back, and that's what it was. Were three large white walls that we would be projecting on or rear projecting on all evening. And it just somehow didn't feel right. And it also felt like Lenny was going to be limited in terms of where he could put people in the rigging that you see. And so I said, well, what if we were to project the ship the whole evening? And what if it was a whole series of steps? So you could place people on that landscape as if they're in the rigging of the ship, but then use it in other ways. And this shape started to evolve into what we end up with on stage here in San Francisco. Then it moved into this, which we started to love the fact that it was this sort of white canvas in a way. It could be, you could think that it's a sail. It could be the ribs of a ship. It could be the hull of a ship. It could represent many things. And of course, once we had this, then, and this is what it looks like inside you, as if you're in the wings of the theater. Once we had this, Lenny felt like I also want it to be expansive and I don't want to see the ends of it. So we made it almost 80 feet wide. And in San Francisco, I'll tell you about this in a second, it's actually narrower and for good reason. But initially the set was, it ended up being 72 feet wide once we opened in Dallas. So you can see, you don't see the ends of the set now. So we would have this, the idea that you could project on it and it would have this incredible breadth. And you could project the sea on it, you could project ship, rigging. It becomes this incredible multi-purpose landscape. But it didn't end here, because as we were getting further into the design, Lenny felt like we still needed to go somewhere else, that it felt like we were missing this opportunity, for instance, with the tri-works, when they're rendering the oil, that there might be this magical moment where we go to another place on the ship, and that the basic set might be able to transform. This is showing you the addition of now these silhouettes. So instead of just projecting on it, we would have these what we call rigging silhouettes, with the addition of sails on it. These sails are all transparent, so that, again, it makes them slightly abstract and allows us to see with greater dimension through the sails.